منظمة الدول الأمريكية أداة للسياسة الخارجية الأمريكية في المنطقة. لقد كان قرار كوبا منذ 10 سنوات قرار حكيما بعدم العودة إلى منظمة الدول الأمريكية عندما تم في سان بيدرو سولا هندوراس إصدار قرار بالتزكية وإلغاء طرد كوبا من تلك المنظمة المتفق عليه في بونتا ديل إستي الأورغواي في شهر يناير من عام 1962. ليس من الخمول أن نتذكر أنه قبل عقد من الزمن كانت العلاقة بين دول أمريكا اللاتينية مختلفة جدا. كان مسؤولين عن مصير بلدانهم أوغو تشافيز في فنزويلا، ورافائيل كوريا في الإكوادور، ومانويل زيلايا في هندوراس، ولويس إناسيو لولا دا سيلفا في البرازيل، وكريستينا فرنانديز في الأرجنتين، فرناندو لوغو في باراغواي، إيفو موراليس في بوليفيا، ودانييل أورتيغا في نيكاراغوا الذين ما زالوا حتى اليوم. وكان لم يكن أمام الرئيس الأمريكي السابق باراك أوباما والمكسيكي فيليبي كالديرون والكولومبي ألفارو أوريبي خيار آخر سوى الانضمام إلى إجماع أمريكا اللاتينية المواتية للتصحيح التاريخي لكوبا، كما وصفها العديد من وزراء الخارجية الذين حضروا الجمعية العامة 39 لمنظمة الدول الأمريكية. وأعربت كوبا عن شكرها لدعم بلدان أمريكا اللاتينية التي دفعت المبادرة، لكنها كررت قرارها بعدم العودة إلى هذه المنظمة التي تخدم كوزارة المستعمرات للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. لقد كانت قرارات شجاعة من دول صغيرة مثل هندوراس، حيث تم الإطاحة برئيسها مانويل زيلايا بعد أسابيع قليلة من الجمعية العامة 39 لمنظمة الدول الأمريكية بانقلاب مدعوم من واشنطن. وقد حذر القائد التاريخي للثورة الكوبية فيدل كاسترو في أحد تأملاته من السذاجة الاعتقاد بأن النوايا الحسنة لرئيس الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية تبرر وجود مؤسسة مثل منظمة الدول الأمريكية التي دعمت النيو ليبرالية وتهريب المخدرات ووجود قواعد عسكرية جانكية في القارة الأمريكية. لقد أثبت التاريخ الحق لكوبا. أصبحت منظمة الدول الأمريكية الآن أكثر من أي وقت مضى أداة للسياسة الخارجية للحكومة الإمبريالية للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، التي التزمت في الآونة الأخيرة باستعادة أساليب ماكارثي لعقيدة مونرو القديم. هذا التعليق نأتي إلى ختام فترتنا لهذا اليوم. لكم أجمل تحيات عبد الرقيب أحمد قاسم وراء الميكروفون، والزميل ميغيل ماتشادو على الهندسة الصوتية. وإلى أن نلتقي في مشوار جديد، نتمنى لكم قضاء يوما سعيدا، وإلى اللقاء.
es Radio Habana, Cuba.
Transmitiendo desde Cuba, territorio libre en América.
A continuación, Radio Habana Cuba comienza su programación en idioma creol por frecuencia modulada e internet.
N'abdi tout auditeur bonsoir, jeudi c'est samedi, chaque fois que dans fin semaine toujours que c'est un journaliste qui prépare programme journal dans fin semaine là pour dimanche, pour samedi. Ok, ça nous va développer pour nous ces questions la Chine, relation la Chine avec Cuba, la France Cuba et Cuba sur question ciné. Bon, Cuba, Diaz, Canel te parlé sur question blocus là. Pour international là, nous pourrions aller dans le pays d'Haïti qui bon que gagne un scandale sur question pour ratifier premier ministre haïtien. Après ça, pour international, sous question que gilet jaune dans le pays de la France, nous parlons dans le pays Colombie, Nicaragua et Bolivie sous question difficulté prend. Après ça, nous avons pile d'autres nouvelles, nous parlons porter pour nous. N'a passé tout sous commentaire Raquel Morissette. C'est toute nouvelle ça nous gain pour nous développer pour nous dans Radio La Havane Cuba depuis Cuba. OK, merci. Mais ça qu'a fait actualité dans Cuba. Nous connaissons Cuba avec la Chine toujours gain relation. Deux pays ça yo visite la Chine président tribunal suprême populaire à Cuba. Ruben et Ferro te permettent une force neutre bilatérale qui existait en deux nations, spécialement dans le secteur juridique là, te confirmé une source diplomatique. L'autre côté tout, ambassade et cubaine dans Béin te fait remarquer tout pendant l'instant ça, mais il parlait tout sur question. Et camarades ça yo te une série rencontre et dialogue qui te mettait pour manifester nous instance un point dans visite commune ça yo perfectionnement activité juridique yo dans deux pays ça yo y a parlé de pays la Chine et pays Cuba. Nous parler tout sur question coopération tout tête ensemble en action concrète tout capacité personnelle pour interchangement expérience yo. N'a continué à nouvelle nationale ça fait actualité dans Cuba bon côté association française Cuba Linda dit que avant pendant édition 84 activité fête humanité yo te voit faire progrès de nouveau action ça sur question contre blocus économique commercial finance imposé par États-Unis dans nation Caraïbe parler de Cuba créé tout en 1998 pour appuyer ou lien en deux pays yo te préciser tout que te ramasser tout diverses activités parmi yo te dénoncer tout un sec vigilant pendant 60 années et faire reconnaître tout résistance peuple cubain devant Zach Ballonnet embargo ça que États-Unis mettait sur Cuba. Nan représentant association fait ça prévoit toujours 13 et 15 septembre nan yo prend une opportunité pour yo offrir la France information ça yo mais tout nanti là sur question actes criminels blocus là que États-Unis mettait sur Cuba mais il mettait tout sur option de voyage tout pour yo pas connaître premier mais réalité ça dans pays Cuba. Changement climatique là, c'est un phénomène qui met en danger espèces humaines et la nature.
Activité négative dans les pays développés a plus que a menacé la paix dans la terre, qui c'est un phénomène qui a empêché protection diversité.
Nous tous devons protéger l'environnement. N'a continué à nouvelle Cuba yo qui boque sur question et cyclone qui t'est passé tout précisément n'a parlé de Bahamas. Président Cuba Miguel Diaz-Canel te fait reconnaître aujourd'hui à travail docteur cubain yo, à professeur cubain yo. Mais solidaire tout avec peuple Bahamas après passer tout un désastre ouragan d'Orient en dans pays Bahamas. Non espace tout dans réseau social là tout et chef d'état cubain travail que développement et compatriotes tout dans nation ça caribéenne. N'a dit tout c'est un important tout événement atmosphérique ça qui t'a laissé de 17 monde qui arrivé mourir et quantité de dommages matériels que pays Bahamas perdu. Il rappelait tout dans source diplomatique tout cubain plus de 60 coopérants tout cubains travailleurs dans pays à continuer travail et appuyer une étape récupération tout préserver la vie humaine. Fait reconnaître tout président Miguel Diaz-Canel travail ça collaborateur cubain yo après dévastation ça n'a parlé de ouragan dans Bahamas qui te fait un désastre dans pays ça. N'a poursuivre la nouvelle nationale yo dans Cuba qui que vice-ministre la première relation extérieure Cuba qui gagne à la tête li Marcelo Medina González et Alvin Bodes et vice-ministre Sud-Afrique là tout pour affaires étrangères internationales là et coopération ça mais était présidé tout dans Pretoria tout et 15e réunion sur consultation politique interministre affaires étrangères en deux pays yo. Pendant que cordial rencontre ça célébré à l'occasion visite qui complet tout que cubain dans continent Afrique là non parti te fait remarquer tout son excellence état tout dans relation bilatérale yo fait nous connaître tout yo commémorer tout pendant 25 années établissement relation diplomatique tout entre Cuba et pays Afrique du Sud. Également te manifester tout volonté travail et ensemble un fort dialogue politique et coopération interchangement en deux intérêts communs yo y a parlé de Cuba et Sud-Afrique. Parti Cuba tout te fait reconnaître historiquement continue appuyer Afrique du Sud là dans différentes efforts régionales et multilatérales tout non bataille pour mettre fin à blocus économique commercial là et financier imposé par gouvernement États-Unis contre pays Cuba. Yo parlé tout puis devant que c'est clair pour rejeter application ça mais trois loi reste Belton. Bon côté autorité affaires étrangères Afrique du Sud là, te remercie tout au nom et peuple la Kaili, dit que appuie Cuba tout pour lutte libération Afrique là, et particulièrement contre régime apartheid là qui te fait rail dans pays Afrique du Sud. N'a poursuivi la nouvelle nationale yo qui bon que ministre affaires étrangères Cuba Bruno Rodriguez a affirmé tout que États-Unis tout son façon il fait reconnaître pour justifier implantation ça mesure ça yo annoncé tout dans mois d'avril là qui s'est passé là ça une force blocus économique et commercial financier il parlait sur rencontre là tout il parlait sur réseaux sociaux yo t'as affirmé tout Rodriguez que Washington prête responsabilité tout à gouvernement cubain un échec une force pour chercher renverser autorité Venezuela yo pour utiliser comme prétexte un nouveau attaque contre pays contre île ça dans un but annoncé par département nord-américain trésor dans dernier limite yo parlé tout sur question nation Caraïbe après nord-américain réfère remarquer chef diplomatie que yo pas doubler tout volonté yo cubain yo il pourra chercher croire non série de bail pour acheter universellement concept de caille maison blanche qui gagne en tête li pour chercher renverser un gouvernement pays progressiste. Non a poursuivre nouvelle nationale yo qui que congressman démocrate la Kazi Castor est accusé tout président États-Unis Donald Trump va continuer tout sur question famille cubaine yo non américaine après une décision limitée tout voyer tout sur question l'argent dans Caraïbe ça dans réseau ça plateforme digitale là n'a pas le digital n'a dit ça qui était considéré tout cassé Castor yo mesure tout comme inhumain et qualifié politiquement du contre peuple pays cubain accusé président Donald Trump et to famille cubain aux États-Unis. Ce que ça fait d'après congressman démocrate Kazi Castor qui était bail déclaration ça. N'a poursuivi la nouvelle nationale qui dit que Cuba a un bon genre relation avec le pays Iran qui était raffirmé jeudi avant volonté pour continuer une force lien politique, commercial, économique, coopération dans l'événement ça. Pour chercher un thème postal au motif de 40 anniversaire rétabli, relations diplomatiques depuis 40 ans entre deux pays. D'après vice-ministre cubain pour affaires étrangères, Ana Yancy Rodriguez, et à plus ambassadeur Iran dans Cuba, Hachi Baha Mohari, de considérer tout se faire remarquer signification anniversaire. Ou attendez un parti ambassadeur Iran de déclaration l'été bail. Deux nations ça t'es passé tout un moment difficile comme résultat hostile gouvernement États-Unis vers parmi eux. Mais sanctions après sanctions ça t'es imposé dans deux nations dans le monde là. Mais il parlait tout sur question la paix, mais qui pas capable mettre à genoux dans deux nations frères ça devant États-Unis fait plus fort indépendant et moins plus pauvre. Mais pendant les dernières 40 années, son parti tout que dans discours l'été bail là.
N'a fini avec nouvelle notre bord de l'eau.
Nouvelle sous pays d'Haïti qui dit que yo désapprouvé tout opposition comité a que réalisé son archive gouvernement haïtien. Opposition parlementaire Haïti a été insatisfait rapidement ratification par député et premier ministre Fritz William Michael a annoncé désapprobation sa comité secteur Sénat. Analyser documents yo sur question cabinet. Selon sénateur opposition Antonio Cherami qui était à la tête sur question c'est pour empêcher sa fête. Ancien gouvernement tout n'a parlé Jean-Michel Lapin dans omission ça que gouvernement parti haïtien yo été mentionné tête calée. C'est jusqu'à présent yo pas joindre une solution dans pays d'Haïti sur question premier ministre. Mais n'a dit tout te gain manifestation dans pays d'Haïti cap mandé départ président Jovenel Moïse depuis que les prend pouvoir.
Révolution, c'est ça, ce moment historique là. C'est changer tout ça qui besoin changer. C'est égalité et liberté pleine. C'est recevoir traitement et traiter tout l'autre monde comme humain. C'est émanciper nous pour nous-mêmes et avec propre effort nous. C'est développer gros forces dominantes en dedans et dehors réseaux sociaux et international. C'est modestie, désintérêt, entourage, solidarité et héroïsme. C'est lutter avec audace, intelligence et réalité, c'est pas mentir jamais, ni pas violer principes éthiques. Révolution, c'est unité, indépendance, c'est lutter pour vivre justice pour Cuba et pour le monde, qui se base patriotisme, socialisme et internationalisme. Fidel Castro, 1er mai l'année 2000.
Nous continuons à nouvelle internationale là, nous pour aller dans le pays, la France, qui dit que le mouvement Gilet jaune réalisé jeudi dans 34e et samedi, l'un des autres manifestations dans le pays, la France en bas, une convocation inclut protestation dans le Champs-Élysées, dans Paris, capitale pays, malgré tout interdit autorité. Mais comme traditionnel tout, depuis tout mouvement ça, n'a parlé de mois de novembre, mobilisation pour exiger un changement social. Te fait appel tout pour sortir, fait appel pour sortir dans la rue tout dans dernier jour dans réseau social là, mais avec invitation tout pour demander renoncer président Emmanuel Macron et dénoncer violence et politiquement que policiers a fait vis-à-vis manifestants yo. Rappelez tout pays Nicaragua. Ancien président Salvador Allende dans l'occasion anniversaire la mort. Nicaragua rappelé tout importance tout ancien président Chili Salvador Allende le 11 septembre. L'été complet 46 années la mort non coup d'état militaire. Organisateur ça hommage ça a annoncé que dans tribu après comme une musique, danse et poésie en place et couleur qui situé tout dans port qui portait nom chef d'état chilien Managua capitale Nicaragua. Allende tout président élu démocratique dans pays Chili par unité populaire a assumé toute direction état et trois mouvements en 1970 mais l'injection ça tout par un coup d'état militaire qui était arrivé renversé par général Augusto Pinochet jour qui était 11 septembre ça en 1973. La poursuite nouvelle internationale qui bok étudiants yo dans pays Brésil rappelez tout sur question l'école situation et il parlait sur question Amazon nan. Mais yo te sorti tout aujourd'hui dans la rue dans toute région pays pour protester tout record ça dans fond éducation pour défendre Amazon nan. Dans l'Union nationale étudiant yo te convoqué tout membre yo mais parler tout couleur tout pour exprimer indignation yo et deuil yo tandis que 25 tout chapitre brésilien confirmé tout adhésion mobilisation ça yo. Mais yo parle tout selon organisation étudiant yo président Jair Bolsonaro mais demandé tout que pour chercher tout une question entre vert et jaune dans 7 septembre ça pour démontrer que Amazonien mais c'est démontrer tout une réponse aux étudiants yo pour inspirer tout en génération mais protester tout étudiants brésiliens yo pour recours éducation dans situation dans Amazonie.
N'a pas évité nous écouter commentaires de Radio Lavan Cuba.
Dans commentaire que nous avons préparé pour tout le monde qui est en émission que là dans Radio Lavan Cuba, c'est fois touristes qui a développé dans Cuba qui gagne présence plusieurs nations nek possession. Cuba attend prochainement 5 millions de touristes comme visitants ça yo, c'est un chiffre avec grande ambition méga présence touriste ça yo empêché pour développement parce que nous gagnons un travail qui empêche plus touristes sous politique pays aux États-Unis. Parce que dans le premier mois, année 2019, là, grandi à une plus que 7,% touristes qui rentraient là. Malgré différentes situations qui mettaient sous pied pays aux États-Unis, le président Donald Trump empêchait le développement touriste qui baigne. C'est une politique qui affectait économiquement le pays. Directeur commercial touriste Miguel Bernardo, d'après une entrevue qui était développée dans une conférence, fait une chita attendue une 14% monde qui fait visite dans Cuba joine acceptation parce que Cuba gagne sécurité système naté, un territoire qui pas gagne crime organisé drogue, sans monde tomber dans main criminel yo, gain en pile pour ici. Autorité qui ben yo entre premier mois année 2019 là un chiffre 2,6 millions visitants, une 14 jours avant, relation avec l'année 2018 là. C'est un pays qui fait grand développement ici dans la première et deuxième occasion, pays Canada et États-Unis. Position malgré résolution qui descend président États-Unis, troisième émission touriste yo, empêcher développement dans l'autre nation. Mais gagne cousin yo qui rentre bâtiment dans différents occasion dans Cuba. Dans occasion ça avec porte ouverte 39 édition PIT dans Cuba et une manière internationale touriste dédiée à 600 anniversaire création ville capitale Lavan San Cristóbal de Lavan qui descend 200 visitants yo entré avec 40 nations. Gagne 160 espaces d'exposition avec différentes nations qui gagnent exposition là. C'est comme ça, Annette Ayala, directeur promotion communication par touristes signalé, acceptation qui ben yo. Même temps, c'est pas seulement touristes qui soutiennent dans l'autre nation que touristes à dedans pays. C'est bien important. Sous système patrimoine, possession, marché international, commerce, qu'il t'est, l'actualité à foi internationale dans la capitale Havana a développé avec grand avantage. Mais foi internationale, ça devient un pays Espagne qui gagne grand ruban dans l'union diplomatique avec Cuba et présenter 9 marchés émissions touristes avec finalité grandir marché dans négociation sécurité acceptation malgré politique président Trump fait grave affectation système ça yo mais nous avons continué travail dans le développement finalement mais Cuba a une grande distinction belle nature rétablissement négociation avec l'autre nation qu'il est habitude comme système patrimoine qui développe dans le pays qui bat pour visitants qui joignent acceptation.
Nous finissons avec le programme dans fin semaine. Nous avons quitté une belle petite musique haïtienne, pampan, nous dédié à Elsa. C'est une grosse technicienne qui travaille avec nous. Elsa, haïtienne. Donc, on a dit tout auditeur, merci parce que vous êtes avec nous, vous êtes fidèle à l'émission créole là. Sous table, contrôle là, nous avons Elsa. Et ça, nouvelle là, nous avons Guy Jean-Just. Nous pourrons demain dans même de ça.
Oubliez tout ça me fait où? C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. Où j'en parler de vous, où j'en pensais avec vous. Regardez les gens qui je dis, nous venons rencontrer, non, laissez-nous. C'est peut-être ça ma belle modèle. Regardez nos cœurs, regardez nos chaînes, voir l'amour. Chérie, c'est l'amour qui a coulé, le cap de chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, non, chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, le cap de chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, non, moi. J'en parle de vous, j'en pense à vous. Regardez les gens que je dis là, moi rencontrer encore l'amour. Oh oui là, nous laissez-nous. C'est peut-être ça ma belle modèle. Regardez notre cœur, regardez notre chaîne, voilà l'amour. Chérie, c'est l'amour qui a coulé, la quantité de chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, non, chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, le cœur de chérie. C'est l'amour qui a coulé, non, moi. C'est moi. réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. Il y a tout ça me fait nous. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. I wanna rock you. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. Il y a tout ça me fait nous. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. Wanna rock you, baby. I'm ready, let me show you. I'm the party, baby. I wanna rock you. Ain't nobody, baby. Better than you, baby. Girl, dancing with my baby. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. Réconciliation, ma baby. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. C'est pour nous réconcilier. I wanna rock you. C'est pour nous réconcilier. I wanna rock you. C'est pour nous réconcilier. I wanna rock you. C'est
Esta es Radio Habana, Cuba.
Transmitiendo desde Cuba, territorio libre en América.
A continuación, Radio Habana Cuba comienza su programación en idioma inglés por onda corta, frecuencia modulada e Internet.
Hi, Gerwin Jones here, sitting in for Ed Newman, and welcome to Radio Havana Cuba's English language broadcast. High temperatures here in the Cuban capital, hot and hazy. Today we have Abel Vasquez and Reish Games on the news desk. Alberto de Perez has his commentary on Viewpoint. We have the latest in science and technology with Ani Coro in Breakthrough, our science and technology feature heard every week on Radio Havana Cuba. And we have our main dish, or as Newman says in Spanish, our plato fuerte, Ed Newman's music with a message. So, there you have it. Stay with us on Radio Havana Cuba. On this date in history, in the year 1970, Gustavo Aldereguilla, a renowned Cuban doctor and revolutionary, died here in Havana. Dr. Aldereguilla was an intimate friend of Julio Antonio Meyer, Ruben Martinez Villena, and other revolutionaries who fought for a free and truly independent Cuba. Following the triumph of the revolution in 1959, Gustavo Aldereguilla served as general director of the fight against tuberculosis and worked to eradicate the disease from the island. He died on this date in 1970 at 70 years of age. And also on this date, but in the year 2010, the Reverend Lucius Walker Jr. died in New York. Lucius Walker was the founder of the Interreligious Foundation for Community Organization, the IFCO. He did this in 1967. IFCO was one of the leading civil rights organizations that fought against racism and discrimination in the United States. In 1988, the Reverend Lucius Walker founded Pastors for Peace and led the humanitarian caravans to South America, particularly in support of the popular Sandinista revolution in Nicaragua. In November 1992, Pastors for Peace came to Cuba for the first time and has been organizing friendship and caravans for the past 23 years. The Reverend Lucius Walker Jr. died at the age of 80 on this date in 2010, 9 years ago to today. And today is Independence Day in Brazil. On this date, in the year 1822, Brazil declared its independence from Portugal. The formal recognition came with a treaty signed by both Brazil and Portugal in late 1825. But today is celebrated throughout the country as Independence Day. Now it's over to the news desk with Abel Vasquez and Reish Games. But first, we'll take a look at today's headlines.
Cuban Foreign Minister sends condolences on the death of Robert Mugabe.
Cuba rejects newly announced U.S. hostile measures.
Cuba actively involved in the Lula Libre campaign.
Venezuela government announces it has not resumed talks with opposition.
Now for the news in detail.
Cuba's Foreign Minister, Bruno Rodriguez Parrilla, has conveyed to the government of the people of Zimbabwe heartfelt condolence for the death of former President Robert Mugabe, founding father of the independence of that nation. Rodriguez wrote on Twitter that Mugabe was an African historical leader and great friend of Cuba's. The Cuban top diplomat also extended his condolences to Robert Mugabe's family and friends. Mugabe died in a Singapore hospital Friday, surrounded by his family and his wife, Grace, indicated various sources to SimLive website. The former president of Zimbabwe had been hospitalized and receiving medical treatment in the Asian city for the last 5 months.
Cuba rejected on Friday the newly announced U.S. measures that further tighten the blockade by restricting money remittances of Cuban Americans to their relatives on the island. Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez posted on Twitter the strong rejection of the implementation of the measures that were originally announced in April. Rodriguez noted that by blaming on Cuba its failure to force the overthrow of the Bolivarian government in Venezuela, the U.S. lies blatantly to justify implementation of new aggressive measures against Cuba. They will not bend the will of Cubans, and the universal rejection against the blockade will grow. The opportunistic attempt to divide Cubans will fail, he said. Meanwhile, organizations and personalities in the United States have promptly reacted to the announcement. The Engage Cuba Coalition and the Washington Office on Latin America blasted the new measures. On Twitter, Engage Cuba wrote, It's bad enough that the Trump administration is deporting Cubans, denying asylum seekers, and no longer processing family reunification visas. With these new remittance restrictions, they are now limiting or outright denying a precious lifeline for countless Cubans on the island. For its part, the Washington office of Latin America pointed out in its account in the same social media network that remittances play an important role for Cuban families and said that imposing those limits will not achieve the U.S. government's goals of changing Cuba's politics and economy. Also, Tampa Bay Congresswoman Kathy Castor said that Trump continues to hurt Cuban-American families with his harsh and inhuman policies. Trump administration even pocketed money that families paid for State Department fees in a especially cruel twist, she said.
The president of the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the Peoples, ICAP, Fernando González-Yort, reiterated on Friday the importance of joining the campaign for the release of former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, an emblematic leader of our America in a struggle against the judicialization of politics. González-Yort stressed that as part of the international solidarity campaign Lula Libre in favor of the release of the Workers' Party leader, Cuba is joining the initiative with different actions. Among them, he mentioned the use of social media to raise awareness of the situation Lula is going through, of the reasons why his imprisonment is a great injustice and why he is part of an imperialist offensive against everything that means progressive government, whether socialist or not, or contributes to establishing policies for the benefit of the peoples. He noted that the United States governments and right-wing forces intend to lead Latin America once again to be a territory in which U.S. transnationals and neoliberal policies prevail. Therefore, the tasks undertaken in Cuba and in other countries are part of a response to the campaigns of distortion and manipulation carried out by the hegemonic media of the right, which try to criminalize and imprison progressive leaders of the left, as is the case of the former Brazilian president.
President Nicolás Maduro said on Friday that he won't resume talks with the opposition until it rejects calls by a top supporter in Britain to give up Venezuela's sovereignty claims over the oil-rich contested territory of Essequibo. The Venezuelan leader's comments came after his chief prosecutor opened an investigation against Vanessa Newman, the top envoy in London for opposition leader Juan Guaidó. To return to the dialogue, we demand that they rectify their infamous purpose to surrender our territory. This decision represents the feelings of Venezuelans. It is a national cause, Maduro wrote on Twitter. Government and opposition talks had been taking place under the sponsorship of Norway since April. But Maduro last month broke off the talk taking place on the Caribbean island of Barbados over the opposition support for tougher U.S. sanctions to punish companies from third countries that do business in Venezuela. On Thursday, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez released recordings in which Newman can be heard urging a Guaidó aide, Manuel Avendano, to give up the opposition's claim to the Essequibo region disputed with Guyana. In the recording, Newman says that after speaking with the British Foreign Office, she recommends that the opposition drop the topic of Venezuela's claim to Essequibo in order to secure London's political support. Guyana is a member of the British Commonwealth. Venezuelans have long claimed the mineral-rich region west of the Essequibo River in Guyana, arguing it was stolen from their country in the 19th century breakup of the former British colony. In announcing charges Friday, Venezuela's chief prosecutor, Tarek William Saab, accused Newman and Avendano of secretly negotiating a deal to drop Venezuela's claim to Essequibo in exchange for lucrative contracts with multinational corporations.
And you're listening to Radio Vancouver's English language broadcast from our studios here in the Cuban capital. Back now to the news with Abel Vasquez and Rach Garnet.
The president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, has called on the international community to work together without exclusion and to set aside political differences to mitigate the forest fires that are affecting the Amazon. How is it possible to be distanced because of ideological differences? The rights of Mother Earth are above everything. Let's face all this problem without any exclusion, said the president when he intervened in the summit for the Amazon, held in the city of Leticia in southern Colombia on Friday. Morales was making reference to the exclusion of Venezuela from the summit, an action considered by many countries as a political decision by some regional governments. At the end of the encounter, the attending countries of South America's Amazon region announced they will increase cooperation against causes of deforestation, such as illegal mining, illegal clearing of forest for agriculture, and drug trafficking. The pact approved also includes creating an information network to prevent disasters, increased monitoring of deforestation by satellite, promoting research and education, and increasing the participation of indigenous people to favor the sustainable use of the rainforest. Bolivia's president called on the other countries to allow crisis-hit Venezuela, which had not been invited, to join the pact that was approved. Morales supported the proposals and warned that Mother Earth is threatened with death, which is why he stressed the need to seal an alliance for the Amazon based on principles of multilateralism, the non-marketing of forest, and mitigation. The summit was attended by Bolivian president and his counterparts from Colombia, Iván Duque, Peru, Martín Vizcarra, and Ecuador, Lenin Moreno. The president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, participated in the meeting via video conference and was represented by a delegation headed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ernesto Enrique Fraga.
As Bahamian authorities had warned, the death toll from Hurricane Dorian is on the rise, with confirmed fatalities now increasing to 30. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis reiterated that he expected the figure to further increase. "We will update the public as soon as we have accurate information," he said, as he addressed the nation following an aerial tour on Grand Bahamas. As the days progress, a clearer picture is emerging of the death and destruction which Dorian caused when it made landfall first on Abaco Island as a Category 5 hurricane with 185 miles per hour winds and gusts as high as 200 miles per hour. It then slowly moved over Grand Bahamas, where it remained stationary for several hours. Prime Minister Minnis said many people were trapped in what was left of their homes, while others were still in shelters. The Prime Minister said that the 30 confirmed deaths were on Abaco, warning that the number will likely increase. He lamented also what he called the generational devastation brought by Hurricane Dorian.
On September the 5th, known as Amazon Rainforest Day, social and environment movements, trade unions, religious groups, human rights activists, gender rights activists, professors and students are holding protests in several Brazilian cities in rejection of President Jair Bolsonaro's policies which encourage the conversion of the rainforests into agricultural lands. Not only has the fire destroyed the Amazon, what destroyed our Amazonian forests, rivers, and communities are large companies, agribusiness, hydroelectric, and timber concessions, said Moroni Bemuyal Guimarães, spokesperson of the Movement of People Affected by Barragens, the MAB. In the state of Amapa, agricultural entrepreneurs are entering with force. Here we have our hydroelectrics that will generate a great havoc, mainly among riparian peoples, fishermen, Afro-descendant populations, and indigenous communities. So far, the Brazilian local press has confirmed rallies in Belém, Ataituba, Altamira and Maraba in the state of Para, Fortaleza, Caucaia, and Jaguaribara in the state of Ceará, and Manaus, Macapa, Porto Alegre, Porto Velo, Brasilia, Sao Paulo, and El Dorado. Preserving the Amazon should be one of our priorities. More and more, however, we see that the opposite is happening in the Bolsonaro administration. On Saturday the 7th, we will take to the streets in defense of the Amazon and education. September the 5th, Amazon Day. Additionally, on September the 7th, Brazil's Independence Day, students will hold demonstrations to defend the Amazon and public education, both of which are also being threatened by Bolsonaro's privatization program. Protests called by Brazilian organizations will be accompanied by activities such as conferences, music festivals, and parades. With respect to the ongoing cycle of exploitation of Amazonian natural resources, Fede Renero, MAB activist, said that the commercial use of forests does not usually generate significant revenues for the working people.
And once again, our headlines for today.
Cuban foreign minister sends condolences on the death of Robert Mugabe.
Cuba rejects newly announced U.S. hostile measures.
Cuba actively involved in the Lula Libre campaign.
Venezuela government announces it is not to resume talks with opposition.
Veteran journalist Alberto de Perez is up next with his daily commentary on Viewpoint.
As all eyes are focused on other issues, such as the trade war waged by the United States against China, or the intervention of Washington in the process of Britain's disengagement from the European Union, President Donald Trump is quietly advancing in the construction of a border wall with Mexico. One of his latest feats has been the authorization issued by the Defense Department to shift $3.6 billion to erect some 280 miles of a barbed wire wall that will prevent entry into the United States by illegal migrants and also to stop the trafficking of drugs. The use of Pentagon funds for this irrational project has been questioned before U.S. courts, but this past July the Supreme Court authorized the use of those resources initially earmarked for other fields. The U.S. and Mexico share some 3,000 kilometers of common border, and Mr. Trump proposed to have at least one-third of this border wall ready by the time of the electoral campaign for the 2020 polls. Stopping illegal migrants is one of the keys in Mr. Trump's electoral discourse in order to ensure his re-election. Part of his campaign are the repeated insults to the undocumented who attempt to cross the border, besides injecting fear into a political illiterate population that really believes that the undocumented are going to take their jobs, sexually attack their women and daughters, and sell drugs to their sons. Trump has a captive electoral base in that mass of citizens that do not read, are not used to political analysis, and believe all that they are fed by the mass media, and fear anything different or unknown. They number millions, those who are not necessarily racist, but gobble up Mr. Trump's xenophobic discourse and progressively look at migrants as threats, as enemies that must be avoided at any cost. The wall is not being built to stop illegal migrants, but to accommodate the vote of the average American citizen, that one that was genially pictured by Sinclair Lewis in his masterpiece Babbitt, a book that must be read today by all in the United States of America. It is also a good time to recall a sentence issued not long ago by the Roman Catholic Pope Francisco, who said that those that want fences to stop others usually wind up fenced in by their own walls. And this, friends, has been Radio Havana, Cuba's editorial comment for today. In Havana, I am Alberto de Perez.
Thanks, Alberto, shooting from the hip as usual. Now we're going to bring you something special. We have an interview with Puerto Rican Emily Vicaira Keller. Emery is a professor of economics in the University of Puerto Rico and also the director of the Montessori School in Mayagüez. Gerwin Jones here, sitting down with Emily Vizquera Kela from Puerto Rico. Emily is the director of a Montessori school in Puerto Rico, in Mayagüez, and also professor of economics in the University of Puerto Rico. Tell me about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be here in Cuba, speaking English. I was born in Puerto Rico 50 years ago, and I was raised in Puerto Rico, and all my life, or the first half of my life, I dedicated myself to sports. I was a tennis player, dedicated myself soul and heart and physically to the sport representing Puerto Rico. As a matter of fact, the first time I was here in Cuba was for the Pan American Games in 1991. And life goes on, and I was able to study economics first at Berkeley in California, and then in the master's degree in the University of Puerto Rico. And love came along, and I got together with, to my surprise, one of the most beloved singers in Puerto Rico, Roy Brown. We have been together for 25 years now, and we have 2 children. One of them lives here in Cuba as she does her 3rd year of the ballet school, Fernando Alonso, the classical ballet school from Cuba, Fernando Alonso. She and the younger boy, who's 13, he's a musician and sports oriented too. And together together him and I, my husband and I, worked together a life project with them, with the 2 children, and with his music that carries on. As a matter of fact, I brought with me a CD prepared for the special occasion of the 500 years of the celebration of the foundation of La Habana, that he wanted to offer as a gift out of love to Habana for giving him such a special place since the 1970s, because he has been performing here.
Okay, let's talk about the 2 wings of the same bird. Now, I haven't visited Puerto Rico. I want to go, and I have an enormous respect for the contribution of Puerto Rico to many aspects of cultural life. Now then, how do these 2 wings differ, and how are they much the same?
Puerto Rico and Cuba, well said by Lola Rodriguez de Tio, who, as a matter of fact, lives forever in Cementerio Colón, and I have visited her with her husband, Bonocio. Very well wrote a poem which describes the joint history of Puerto Rico and Cuba. They shared illusions, poetry, people of the Renaissance of the Caribbean in the 19th century shared a common thought. First, of liberating from Spain as an empire then, and fighting for freedom. And they fought together with the same interests. And something very particular, that the idiosyncrasy of the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans is very similar. I have traveled much to Latin America, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, and I have never felt such intimacy in culturally speaking and politically speaking as with the Cuban pueblo.
Now, Emily, the relationship between Puerto Rico and the United States and the relationship between Cuba and the United States, how do they differ?
We have the same embargo, except that 180-degree difference.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in Cuba, the embargo is imposed so that no one can have commerce. It cannot have commerce with the United States or its allies, no? In Puerto Rico, since the invasion in 1898, we can only have commerce with the United States. Everything that imports, and we import much over 85% from United States, has to come through the military ships of United States. That makes the cost of living very high. And the fact that we can only relate to United States limits the possibility of our economic growth, in terms of our increasing levels of productivity, internal location in terms of the productivity, in terms of the raising the income, personal income, very limited compared to the possibilities if we were to relate on a one-on-one basis with other countries.
Now, the internal politics of Cuba and the internal politics of Puerto Rico, how do they
differ?
Line up?
Of course. Cuba, obviously, in the revolution under Fidel, established a socialist state, very highly controlled, so it became communist. We have exactly the opposite. We have a neoliberal capitalist market scenario, and so it's the antithesis, no? The fact that we have access to indefinite material goods doesn't make us any better in terms of the quality of life. We have gotten, yes, we have material goods, access to material goods, but we live a strenuous life. We live to pay off credits. We live the borders are not controlled by our own government. It's controlled by the United States, and it's a contradiction that having the best security in the world, we have the most unsecure coast in terms of the entrance of arms and drugs. So we have a difficulty on the security of the daily living, no? A lot of crime, and that makes it very hard for us also to live a happy daily life on the calm side. But in terms of economic system, there is it seems that we have a daily freedom, but that is not necessarily the way it works, because we engage in a highly consumption economy, and that sets a burden, a load on the citizen to have to work to consume. So you consume perhaps things that it becomes luxury instead of the basic needs, and that sets economic hardship.
Let's move into the world of culture. Now, we have our Silvio Rodriguez. Sí. You have your Roy Brown.
Sí.
Who is Roy Brown?
Roy is a nueva trova singer. He started his career as a political singer, just like Silvio did, like León Gieco did, like Bob Dylan did, Pete Seeger, in an expression, a very hard expression, condemning the 1960s politics of the world, the invasion of the government of the United States into other countries, and the abuses, the social injustices. So that's how he became a political singer. As a matter of fact, he had to leave the island, Puerto Rico, in the 70s, and he went to live in New York, because he couldn't perform in Puerto Rico. Basically, he was banned. And as a contradiction, he joined the communist youth of the time, and he represented the United States in the communist youth encounter, if I believe, here in Cuba. And that's how they met, Silvio and Roy. Silvio was Silvio, not Silvio Rodriguez, and Roy was Roy, young, not Roy Brown, meaning they were just two youngsters expressing themselves, and they immediately showed respect for their sensibility and artistry, and that's how they became friends.
And there's a new album?
Right now there's a new album. The album he just created is it came out of the visits that he has performed for the last 2.5 years, having our daughter here, and he has frequented Habana more often than imagined, and he has been able to spend time walking about in the Habana, something he had not done before. He would come, sing, and leave the island. So he has had the opportunity to intertwine with the people of Habana Vieja. With that experience, he was able to create a few songs and also create an idea of a project of inviting a few of his friends in Puerto Rico to also present poetry, music and poetry combined, to do a music and a video audiovisual production of this experience. And a few of his friends prepare some songs, and the new album has 6 songs right now, and that's going to be his gift for La Habana, celebrating the 500 years of foundation. One of the songs, for example, is called Panadero, and Panadero is the understanding of that scenario as a nostalgic scenario that we had in Puerto Rico, the vendor, the street vendor, selling the daily bread, and he grasped that image in the song, very pretty, and so on. He has another song called Hoy estoy contento, I'm happy today, and it finalizes, Hoy estoy contento, basta ya que el Yankee mande, meaning, there's a political change in Puerto Rico, but it seems, hopefully, that there is an upbringing in Puerto Rico, and also I think in Cuba too. I think the days of the embargo have they're in the countdown, and in Puerto Rico perhaps we might be also getting nearby to a scenario of having more autonomy from the U.S. government.
Emily Vicaira, thank you very, very much for this.
Fantastic, yeah.
That interview was with Puerto Rican Emily Vicaira Kelly. Emily is a professor of economics at the University of Puerto Rico and also the director of the Montessori School in Mayagüez. Stay with us now for Breakthrough with station co-founder and professor of radio at the University of Havana, Ani Coro.
Hola amigos, welcome to another edition of Breakthrough, our weekly science, technology and the environment feature report. I am Arnaldo Arni Coro, RHC's science editor, and today the good news is coming from Japan. More precisely, the source of this information is a press release issued by the prestigious and very well-known Hiroshima University of Japan. Researchers there have developed a totally new technology that improves and increases the removal rate of salt from seawater, a breakthrough that may contribute in the not-too-distant future to alleviate the increasing demand for fresh water in some parts of the world. For example, here in my country, Cuba, groundwater supply sources via deep wells are providing less and less output due to the increased use and less rainfall falling. In a statement that is part of a press release from the prestigious Japanese University of Hiroshima, it is explained that, and I quote, "A global shortage of fresh water is a long-term challenge that humankind faces in this century." In this short sentence, the director of the Robust Membrane Project, Professor Toshinori Tsuru, synthesizes what they are working hard to develop a better and more efficient way of converting seawater or less salty brackish water into useful fresh water for human use. Professor Tsuru and his team have designed a totally new kind of ultra-thin layered membrane that acts as a sieve and separates salt from seawater, to produce fresh water in large quantities using a well-known technique known as reverse osmosis that is already in service all around the world, including here in Cuba, but that still offers room for improvement. The new Japanese-developed membrane is partly made from silicon and overcomes several challenges of existing designs by tolerating the harsh conditions inside the desalination plant's equipment. The research has been published in the well-known academic journal of Membrane Science. One practical problem of the separation membranes is biofouling, where biofilms form on the membrane surface. This slows down the amount of water that can pass through the membrane, reducing the output of the desalination plant as it is used. Sodium hypochlorite is commonly used to remove those biofilms. However, it was found that the chlorine can also damage the membranes. Professor Suru said that the new membranes are more robust, which makes them resistant to the effects of chlorine. They are also heat resistant, meaning that they can be used in desalination plants operating around 80 degrees centigrade. That makes them more efficient. We are developing robust membranes, he says, using three materials: silicon-based, hydrocarbon, and chemical vapor deposition. First, we developed silicon-based robust membranes, Professor Suru said. We expect Japan to continue to be one of the leading countries in the world in membrane technologies and membrane treatment systems for desalination. How long it will take to develop mass production technology for the new membranes cannot be predicted at this moment, but all efforts are made to make the new special high-efficiency membranes for water desalination plants available as soon as possible. And this was Breakthrough for today, amigos. An update about what's happening in the world regarding the need to obtain fresh water from seawater and brackish water in large quantities by means of the use of the reverse osmosis technology.
Thank you, Anikoro. Our every other weekly feature is up next. Music with a Message with Ed Newman.
Hey everybody, welcome to another program of Music with a Message. We've got a nice program lined up for you today. We really think you'll enjoy this evening here on Radio Havana, Cuba. It's a music message program with U.S. singer and songwriter Joan Baez. Joan Baez is an icon in the folk music world of the United States and indeed the world, performing since the 1960s deep in the civil rights movement and the movement against the U.S. war of aggression against Vietnam. Joan Baez composed and sang many songs dedicated to her strong beliefs. Let's listen now to Biko. This was a piece written by Peter Gabriel and performed by Joan Baez. It's dedicated to Stephen Biko, a South African anti-apartheid activist who was in the vanguard of the grassroots campaign known as the Black Consciousness Movement during the late 1960s and 1970s in apartheid South Africa. In August of 1977, at the age of 30, Stephen Biko was arrested and severely beaten by state security officers, dying in September of that year of 1977 after a month of torture. More than 20,000 people attended his funeral in defiance of the racist anti-apartheid system. Let's listen now to Joan Baez, a song written by Peter Gabriel, dedicated to Stephen Biko. It's called Biko. Joan Baez and Biko, dedicated to Stephen Biko, the South African anti-apartheid activist killed back in 1977. You've tuned to Radio Havana, Cuba. This is Music with a Message. Let's listen to another song dedicated to the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa by Joan Baez. This is Asimbo Nanga. It was written by Johnny Clegg and pays tribute to Nelson Mandela and all of the prisoners of apartheid and the victims of that racist system in South Africa.